Hey everyone, welcome to Casual Watch Talk, our Tuesday show, which we haven't done for a while. I've got Todd with me. Hey!
In the flesh.
In the flesh. So yeah, welcome everyone. We've got a really fun show. We're going to do another hit or miss from this week's or the last couple of weeks' watch releases, and we've got some fun ones coming up, including the Tudor, which just dropped today, which I'm sure is no coincidence that we were going to do this and then Tudor dropped to watch. But anyway, well, let's introduce the panel then. I've got Jason from Watch Rolling joining us, watchrolling.com, my co-host, and then we've got Patrick from Pocket Watch Time.
Hello, everybody.
Todd from Seiko Chronograph Watch Forums,
something like
that. And then of course there's me. So hello everyone. A big hello to Sean. Thanks for he finally made it to a live stream. Watched the channel for a while now. Welcome.
Hello,
Sean. Welcome, Cherished.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Bill K's here.
Oh yeah, Bill K. Welcome, Bill K.
Kevin's in Lakeland, Florida.
Yeah, Jeremy. We've got Jeremy. Cheers, Jeremy. You've been on a bit of a run watching these. Thank you. And then we've got Kevin. Yeah. Good evening from Lakeland, Florida.
Oh, neat.
Well, should we do a little wristwatch check? Patrick, do you want to kick us off with a wristwatch check?
Absolutely. Well, fitting to one of today's releases, I decided to wear the Doxa Army limited edition version. Though rumor has it there's some pretty cool versions that just came out. And so this is the full ceramic version they released about 6 months ago. And, great little watch. I love it.
Awesome.
Nice.
Jason, what are you wearing?
I'm wearing my new watch alert. Sangen Kinetic Gypsy.
Very good. Looks like someone got some lume on there recently.
Yeah.
No, it does.
Yep. It's pretty sweet. They're a veteran-owned company. I just like them. I always wanted to connect. They had a special edition. They did a collaboration with a company called Warm and Fuzzy, which is kind of like a clothing group, but they also make funny military memes and art. It's kind of a bunch of stuff. And it's got a little gypsy at the 6 o'clock, but really well made. 49.5 lug to lug, so it sits really 43 diameter. Sits really well. Left-handed crown, though.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And I'm going to sell my Garmin and just use this as my outdoor adventure exercise watch.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm ditching the digital life.
Oh.
Well, I'll go real quick. I'm wearing the Datejust, which bears no resemblance to the new logo for copyright reasons. But yes, I'm wearing my new Datejust, and then Todd in the flesh.
In the flesh, and once I get this thing spooled up, it's hard to take it off. But I have the Mont Blanc.
It's
always interesting to try to figure out the lighting.
There we go.
Yeah, there we go. So
yeah, it's hard.
Awesome. Well, let's kick it off with before we go through the watches, I just wanted to give a little plug to our friend Mikola over at Man Cave Leather. He's starting the business back up again. His wife and he were recently emigrated to Canada from Ukraine. Obviously, during that transition period, he had to leave a lot of his strap making equipment back in Ukraine. So he's just started back up again in Canada. He's going to be on the show on Sunday to talk through it, but he makes just some of the most amazing leather straps going. So you'll see his website at the bottom here. Check out his website, and he'll be on Sunday. So just a little plug for Mikola there. Well, let's kick it off with the first of the picks, and we'll go straight in with a heavy hitter. So the new Pelagos, the 39 millimeter. This kind of dropped in secret, I think, didn't it? It's only in the right hand drive or the normal side crown. It's black. It's a 39 millimeter. It's slightly cheaper. It's about $200 cheaper than the existing Pelagos. They dropped the date, which I'm a bit annoyed about myself. But what I do think is really cool about this, I'll just give my opinion on this. I think it's a hit. But what's pretty cool is they've got a shot here of it on unisex wrists. Now, I think this is a big hit because that was always the complaint about the Submariner, is it was too big for for it to be a unisex size or for you know, a lady's wrist. So I think they've dropped right on this. I think this is probably the closest that we're going to get to what was the Tudor Submariner. So I don't know. That's my kind of view on it. Anybody else? Jason, I know you've been looking at this watch, the full size, no, I shouldn't say full size version, the 40, the bigger version.
The LHD, the left hand. Yeah, I think it's cool. And I mean, I know it doesn't have a date, which is going to really tee off Sam, but I think, oh man, I think the unisex picture thing, while smart, kind of makes it look like we as the buying audience are dumb, because the second I saw it was 39 millimeters, I thought to myself, oh, awesome, people with smaller wrists will be able to wear this. Because I know a lot of people that have smaller wrists don't like to wear something too big. And the second I saw it was 39, I'm like, that's great. And then I thought, it's even greater because hopefully now there's going to be more LHDs to go around, and I'll be able to score one at a decent price. And but I think it's awesome, and I like the taper on the bracelet. I just think it's a clean. It's a Pelagos. It's got to be durable, and I think if you were looking for something you could wear every single day that could go from inside to outside, I think it's great. You know.
Yeah. I don't know, Todd, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've always liked modern Tudor's grammar of design. And I think this follows it somewhat, although, I don't know, the case shape's a little different than what I think I'm used to, but I'd have to do it side by side. But I like it without the date, actually. I think it's a very clean dial and all that. It's definitely a hit, in my opinion. But what's interesting is Tudor is one of those watch companies that I've really liked. I like what they do, but I don't really want to get one. That's one of those, you know, kind of strange things, and I'm not quite sure why, but I think the watch looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Patrick, go on, bring it home. What do you think?
All right, well, hear me out with a very, very wishy-washy back and forth opinion. So,
Nice.
One, I think it's an excellent hit just because it's pretty much what the entire watch community has been asking for. They want a Submariner clone that's small enough that it's not oversized, but big enough that it's not, you know, a mid-size. And, you know, I think this is just the perfect size for that. There's my goods. Well, more goods. It comes with a rubber. It comes with their new T-class bracelet. You know, I said that's a lot of a package for, you know, $4,400. So, I mean, great price, beautiful watch, you know, all in all, outstanding hit and value. My negatives. One, that picture right there that you got up is the perfect. I love the fact it comes on a rubber bracelet, but I don't really like how that rubber bracelet connects. I think it just looks weird.
Yeah,
So,
it looks like an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, why they didn't just make something a little bit more integrated so that it either was flush to the case or they sort of made a little bit of an insert that was flat, more like a Rolex, but it looks a little funky. So I love that it's got a rubber, but I actually don't really think it looks as good on the rubber. But probably my biggest, you know, complaint gripe about the whole thing is it just doesn't have any personality yet. And so the LHD I like because it said it just gives it a little bit of some flair. To me, when I look at this, I just see a watch. And, you know, it just looks like every other dive watch on the planet. You know, it's a great watch, but it just doesn't have anything fun. So if they throw a little color in there, they do something a little bit wild with the next release, you know, that'd be a watch I'd be thinking about maybe getting. But for right now, as I said, it's just a little too ho-hum. And there's my long-winded opinion.
Yeah, no, I think this is a big hit for them. It's a shame that they took the date off for me, and it's a shame that they there's no blue.
Oh man,
I know I'm like poo-pooing like years worth of design work, aren't I? Just because it hasn't got the date on it. But anyway,
well, you know what I think is cool about this one, real quick, Sam, is like if you look at all the black bays, right? They all look almost a little too nice, like a little too fancy. That's a better term.
Yeah,
a little too fancy. There's nothing fancy about this. This looks like you could put it on and go have Fight Club at 7:30, go eat lunch with your wife at 11:30, and then go to the beach at 9:30. I mean, it looks like it's built to kind of do everything. And I think for someone that was looking for something that was a good size, they could wear anywhere, they could wear a lot, and they didn't want to have a bunch of watches in their collection, I think that would be a perfect watch, especially if you have a smaller size wrist and you don't like a big honking piece of metal on it. I think it's great. And I think the no date appeals to people who don't care about additional complications other than just telling time.
Well, Nick here. Nick's making me feel better. He says he feels bad for just being as picky when it comes to the day date. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for appreciate the support. Well, next up then, Patrick, you alluded to it, and you're wearing its predecessor, but the new Doxa Army stainless steel. So we've got the stainless steel bezel, and they've also done a green bronze bezel as well, haven't they? Which I think this, for me, I think this bronze one probably needs to be seen in person, I would say. But go on, Patrick. I'll let you start with this one.
Well, I mean, actually, this is going to sound horrible, but I like this release more than this release. I mean, I love. Well, actually, I don't really care for black watches. Like, I don't own any PVD watches. It's just not my thing. I like something being solid. You know, obviously what caught my attention on this one was that it was a unique material for them. It's their first ceramic watch. And so that's what made me go, okay, I don't really like black so much, but let's do it. And right now, I know. Right now though, it's maybe a little bit too much black. What I might do is take the best out of the watch they just released. I might go buy the green bracelet or the green green rubber strap, because I think this will look fantastic with just a little bit of a change of color. But getting back to what's released, you know, I think the green bezel bronze on the green rubber, I think that is a gorgeous watch. You know, the metal bracelet looks okay, but I think that little pop of green on there to just give it a green on green with the bronze, you know, that is one sexy watch. And as I said, I probably even like it a little bit better than this watch.
This is a weird one for me because I don't go for black PVD watches or DLC.
I don't like them.
But I think yours looks the best version of this. I think that there's something about this because the dial looks so military and like stealth and things like that. The dial looks stealth and it looks very military, but then it's in a Doxa case, whereas yours looks like it's purpose built. The black almost enhances the bezel and the dial for me, where the silver this silver doesn't. So it's weird. It's a weird one for me. I actually prefer yours, even though I don't like you know, ceramic or black DLC watches.
Okay.
There you go. I've stunned the crowd.
Yeah.
I mean, because hold yours up against Patrick. Yeah, I think the black A makes it look smaller. It's probably like an optical illusion, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Where the stainless steel render, it just looks like a big old honking Doxa case, which I don't necessarily not like, but I think that.
Yeah, I mean the cushion case, all black ceramic like that, it looks good. So if I were picking a all black watch, you know, that might be it. Although I agree with what Patrick's saying. I really like the standard dial with the green like strap on it, or rubber strap. I think that looks really good. It picks up that green on the bezel. I think that's that looks really good to me.
Yeah.
I
like that. I like the dial on this though. Just in general, it's fun. It looks kind of matrixy from a distance, you know. No, it's an interesting use of shape. You know, I'd be interested to see the case back. Is there a picture of the case back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's have a look.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Because I do love a nice case back.
You might be out of luck here.
How dare you, Doxa?
Oh man, and with all those pictures too. I mean, they've got so many pictures.
Yeah.
This is like, hey, we're selling this new car. We're only going to show you the front and the top left corner.
But to bring this one back around, you know, good for Doxa though, because they did get a bunch of negative beef on. You know, the Army was a very popular sort of model that they were holding in their back catalog, and then for them to just come out and they did a very limited edition of only 100, that really does, steal something from, the community. And so the fact that they, made this as a completely, unlimited production, that's pretty nice on them. And, as someone who owns the limited, that doesn't make me mad at all. Like, I don't think they, trivialized mine in any shape or form. I would have if they put a ceramic case on it, but I said, so I'm not mad at them at all. I think they did a great addition, and I'm proud of Doxa for making a pretty cool watch.
Did you guys see Jeremy Rice's comment? Getting a Doxa that's not orange is like going to an Italian restaurant and ordering a burger. I've been places like Italy where someone walked in and we're like in Venice, and they're like, "I'd like some chicken," and you're like, "What? What, dude? We're in Venice." Yeah.
Yeah, no. My granddad was like that when we used to take him to an Indian restaurant. He'd order an omelette and chips. Yeah, fries.
Really? I do love a good omelet. let me ask you guys a question. So about Doxa.
Yeah,
I've looked at them all. I know orange is their thing. I know they have like the powder blue now, and they have some black Doxas, and there's orange, yellow. So to me, like a Doxa, every time I see it, I know it's like super capable. I've watched plenty of stuff and read plenty of stuff about the history of Doxa and everything. But to me, as a guy who doesn't really feel like going diving but enjoys a good dive watch, it's always been like if I was going to get a really fun watch, like this is fun, and I want to like go hang out at the beach and eat or something like that. That's what the Doxa always seems like to me, and I think it's cool that they do like kind of a controlled fun with their colors.
Yeah,
It's not like, I guess to some people, because it's all subjective, it could be over the top. But to me, like Doxa's fun with colors is always very controlled and centralized design-wise to the dial and the vicinity of the dial. Like it's not a bunch of weird straps, not a bunch of weird hardware. It's kind of the dial, maybe a little bit of the bezel. But I don't know if I'm way off base with that or not.
No, I agree. Yeah, they're the first to have sort of experimented with color without it making it look like a gimmick. Like they were like, oh, we're experimenting with color because these colors are easier to see when you're diving. And then everyone's like, well, all the colors are gray, aren't they, at a certain level? And then, and if anybody's a big Doxa fan, you should watch that 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford. That's where that watch features. Well, I'm dropping a new one on everyone because I just saw it and it looks pretty good. I think it dropped for Geneva Watch Days, and that's the new Oris Diver 65. Now, why we're talking about the Diver 65 here is not only does it have their new movement in it, it also has 5-day power reserve and a 12-hour bezel. So I think this is pretty cool, and it's 40 millimeters, so it's not the really big one. I think it looks pretty cool. The Hodinkee, the guy, this Logan Baker at Hodinkee, he reviewed the watch, but his summary was that he likes it, but not as much as the limited edition Hodinkee that they released a few years ago. And he's like, oh, come on, dude. But anyway, I really like this. It dropped for Geneva Watch Days. I think it's got, they've used some nice sort of vintagey fonts as well to go with the overall aesthetic. I think it's the first Diver 65 that I've really looked at. It's going to be near enough $3,500 because of the movement in it. So, but yeah, Todd, what do you think?
I mean, we were talking about this, I think, on the other live stream. I've been a fan of Oris for a long time. I like their independence. I like the fact that they respond, I think, enough, maybe like we talked about, to some of the fan base because they're enthusiast watch. Never owned one. And I don't know what it's going to take for me to buy. Like this watch here, it has a date, so I'll right away Sam will like it. But, I mean, it was it 3,500, you said?
Yeah.
About 3,500. It's like, I just don't know if I want to spend $3,500 for that watch. I mean,
I'm like $700 to $800 away from the LHD. With the right place.
I don't. It's just I don't know. There's something that says no. I just don't want to drop that much money for that watch. But it's a handsome watch.
Yeah. I don't know. Patrick, what do you think?
I'm kind of on the same page as Todd. I mean, I said that the Pelagos just looked like a watch, and I kind of have the same overall opinion of the Oris. It's beautiful, but there's just nothing there that just makes me go, wow, that's special. I want it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm really happy that they threw their, you know, caliber 400 in there, which is an amazing caliber. I mean, you can't buy a better movement pretty much for the money. So, you know, it's got some great horology on the inside. It just doesn't speak to me. It just kind of bland. But I mean, if that's the price point of a watch you're looking for, you know, you really can't. I had a guy at work. He of course wanted a Rolex, and no AD will sell him one. So he eventually went and got an Oris. And you know, I said, I can't say it's a bad choice. It's a great watch. It's just kind of a not as fun choice.
Yeah. I mean, if I was like my one main watch or something, this would be a great candidate, I think, just to wear all the time. Maybe certainly more than the Pelagos, I think. That would be great, but I'm not that buyer.
Yeah. If you guys had a friend who was like, hey, I got X amount of dollars, I just want something that's going to run a long time, I don't have to wind it all the time, and, you know, et cetera, would you recommend that one to him?
What do you think for his first one?
Yeah, like because the buddy I had that just went and got his Tag Heuer, you know, I asked him, I said, well, how is it important? He's like, I'm wearing it every day. I'm all right, bro. It's like 40 hours of power reserve is fine for you if you wear it every day. He's like, do I need one of those watch winder things? I'm like, not if you wear it every day.
Right.
And then I had to draw him a picture of how the rotor worked. And I finally got it.
I mean, to me, I would get a Tissot or Hamilton with a Powermatic 80 and just you know, wear it all the time and, you know, be good. You know, for the money, because you're buying it at $800 or whatever that, you know.
That's true. But for the price of this Oris, I'd probably get the Pelagos 39 though. I mean, it's not that much more expensive. And then, as you said, you get a rubber strap, you get a metal strap, you can up it and down it depending on where you're going. And I just think that's got a lot more personality than the Oris does, even though I know I just said that I didn't think that watch had much personality. So
well, Pete's got a question here for us: the new 65 or Ranger?
I'd go Ranger.
Oh, I'd probably go 65. But
if Oris gave me a free Oris Bear sweater, then I would go 65.
Did that Oris Bear previously work for Ralph Lauren? Because I think it's like he like left there and now he works for Oris.
He got a better contract, so he's with Oris.
Yeah. He followed the Verizon guy's business model.
Well, I've got an interesting story about that I'll tell you in the post show from the inside word on that from Verizon. But anyway, so next up we'll go right back to affordable price range. Although this is expensive, this is a $600 one. We briefly touched on this on a previous live stream, but this is the all metal $600 Casio, as it's colloquially known. And this is the rose gold version. This, I actually quite like it. Do you know what bothers me about it is that I feel like the minute hand is slightly too short. But if anybody's bought this watch, just ignore that I said that. Don't obsess over that. This is just my own hang-ups. I don't know what's everybody think about this. Did anyone own the plastic Casio, the resin one?
No.
What do we think about this rose gold version? It's got the Bluetooth and all of that jazz on it, so it's functionally it's spot on.
I think it's fun.
I'll jump in first and just say, you know, I think that Casio is probably one of the best G-Shock inventions in the last, 5+ years. It's a great looking watch. It's probably even prettier than the actual Royal Oak in terms of just what it looks like. I mean, I know the finishing isn't as good, but it's a great watch. Am I going to pay $600 for a metal version? No, but I really, really like the look of it. So I think it's a beautiful watch, but not for me.
So, can you see? Could you have seen you wearing one of these, Jason, when you were in the Navy?
Negative. They make kits for these, right?
Yes.
Like, you can do this. See, I would, not the rose gold one, but if there was like a stainless one that looked halfway decent, and it was say like,
You did that.
I don't
Sam,
know,
didn't you?
$300.
Yeah, I
You
did.
did
I would-
square, didn't you?
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
the square one. They do a.
How much is this? The silver one? The
This
stainless
one's
steel?
$550.
I ain't paying $550 for it, but
Yeah.
like $400, $350, I would pay that not to have to worry about doing a modification.
Yeah. 350. That would be where I would
Yeah.
go to. But
Yeah,
yeah,
my time's too
500,
valuable
600.
to do it myself, but I ain't
Yeah.
paying $550 for it.
Yeah, I ended up modding this one. The case was like $50, and then the watch was like $80. So, I mean, it's there and thereabouts. I mean, it's a bit of a, the bracelets a bit jangly and stuff like that. I think I'm intrigued by these expensive.
I feel like it
G-Shock.
defeats the purpose, of the G-Shock. It's the antithesis of what a G-Shock's supposed to be.
I don't understand expensive G-Shocks, and I'm sticking with that. I just don't get it. I mean, it's a good-looking watch for sure. I just don't know why I'd ever buy it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I remember something that was released a couple years ago. It was this hammered G-Shock, and it looked
Yes.
like it was this coppery metal, and it had all these little hammer things. And they had this beautiful video of almost like some samurai warrior, like
Yeah, it was like an artisan that, like the last one that could do it or something in the world. This Japanese artisan, yeah.
But it was like a
Last samurai.
$5,000 G-Shock, and I was just like just amazed.
I am intrigued by the super expensive ones. I'm intrigued to see one in person, because they even make one that's this one. They make one that's $550, but they make one of these that's $3,500, made out of this. They've developed these different grades of titanium, or these mixes of titanium. So it's quite interesting. Well, next up, let's so we're going to go in around the price spectrum here, but this is one of yours, Patrick, and what just an incredible watch. This is the new. Is it a new Octafismo?
So, I mean, since I brought this one to the table, I'll go first and tell you my likes and my dislikes. I really like the Octofinismo as a watch. Yeah. I think the case shape is neat. I think it's really cool that it's flat. I love that they added an extra like 0.5 millimeter to it and made it waterproof, because the first ones weren't. So, I mean, now it really is a 100-meter, sport watch, which is kind of what it's supposed to be. The bracelet's really cool because the clasp integrates into the bracelet. So when you're wearing it, it just feels like you're not wearing anything. But here's my new gripe with them lately. They're just making all of these gimmicky limited editions. And I'm a guy who likes limited editions, but I just feel like these are gimmicky. So they keep picking like an artist and then do some like artistic dial to it. None of them are like readable, and they sort of just steal from the overall brand. And I think Pete might have asked it somewhere on something. I feel like I answered one of his questions about, was this cheapening the brand? And I think, in my opinion, it just kind of is. Just make a beautiful watch that you can tell the time on, and, I'll love you more. But for this one, they made a stainless steel polished case, which they've never done before. It's pretty eye-catching, and the sapphire trick they did on the dial to sort of make it look the way it is pretty neat. It's just, it's not an Octofinismo anymore. I mean, when I look at this, I almost see a Corum bubble.
Yeah, that's a good call.
I wish Pete was here, because we could get into some deep psychology about horology. But isn't it funny sometimes that they literally give you less? Like, if the purpose of a timepiece is to literally tell the time, so Sam's argument of a date goes out the window, because really that's an additional complication, right? But they and I know they're using nicer materials and all stuff, but whatever. At the end of the day, they're giving you less function, and they're charging you a whole lot more, and then people line up for it. There's got to be something in Pete's bag of psychology tricks that references that. You know what I mean? Like, why? I don't get it. It's cool.
What's this cost? What's the price?
Oh, let's have a look. Actually, I didn't. I didn't
I
check.
don't.
$1 million.
Yeah, I don't think it's much more than the standard. It's about 14,000,
13,000.
15,000.
Yeah.
14,700
Yeah,
Swiss francs.
That's a
Man.
myth for me. I know Bulgari is going to be expensive, but I mean that looks like something from AliExpress. A little bit what Nick was talking about with the previous Casio. And to me, it's so polished. It's like Jason said, I can't tell the time. I'm looking at it right now, and I can't tell you the time that's on that watch on Sam's monitor. It's to be cool.
Thanks, Pete.
$14,000 roughly dollars for this thing is other than the movement's gorgeous, of course, but no.
I could buy 3.5 LHDs with that thing.
Yeah, this gives me this for some reason. It gives me two vibes. It gives me vibes of like a modern art from the 90s, like a clock that is to to challenge time,
Mm-hmm.
or it also reminds me of like a villain in a film that was made in the 80s but set in the future, like Total Recall or something like that. Like the villain from one of the baddies in Total Recall would have this watch on, and the face would turn into a screen, and the boss would be like shouting at him or something on the screen. It just looks like that 90s, sort of late 80s, early 90s design for some reason.
If Devo could wear this watch, I think, with the
power. Movado called. They like their design.
The Movado Museum pieces. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Well, let's jump to one of mine, which is Vario. They release. I think they're releasing another version of this, but this is their Atlas A3 watch. So it's automatic. It's using the Miyota 9015. For me, this is a 36 millimeter, so more unisex on that smaller side. But there's just something about the design that I really like. It looks, it's a maturity of their field watch design, but in an everyday watch. I quite like the look of this, and also I'm a big fan of Ryan and Reagan, who run this brand as well. This is a US micro brand. They do a lot to assemble and source as many parts as they can in the US. So the watches are assembled in the US and they source what they can from the US, but by the sheer restrictions of the machinery that was sent away years ago from the watchmaking companies over here, they're just some parts that they can't get. But I don't know what I suppose aesthetically, I don't know, Todd, what do you think?
I love it. I love the red hand. Here's my problem with this price point, and this is me because I'm such a Hamilton fan. This just smacks into a Hamilton automatic, a date, for example, or something like that. Handsome watch, though, good price. But that's for me, that's what this is competing against. Although I think we should look at this versus the Tudor Ranger, because I would have this before the Tudor Ranger, I think, just based on design. Ooh, I like that red dial.
I like
that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of there it is.
Yeah,
a little bit like a Rolex-y.
Yeah, like that. The crimson. I think
crimson. Yeah. Now that red dial, though, I would go for that.
Yeah.
For that price point, yeah, because you can't wear that a lot, like all the time with that kind of dial. But I'd go with it with that dial, actually.
Yeah. I don't know. Patrick, what do you think? Have you seen a Vario in person?
I've never seen one in person, but I'm with Todd. I really like the pop of color on there. As I said, it gives a simple watch just that little bit of flair that just makes you want to look at it. And that blue dial with the red hand, I think that's just really nice. And the red dial is doing enough screaming; it doesn't need a pop of color. But that's. I don't know if I could pull that watch off, but I applaud him for, as I said, making something fun. But that blue one with the red seconds hand, yeah, that's a gorgeous watch. And for the $600 price point, is that's an all day, everyday wear that you can be proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, you've owned a Vario, haven't you?
Yeah. It was okay. I sold it. It was the Quartz field watch. It was like the D5 or A5 or something. And I want, like Sean said, I wanted to like it, but I was listening to another podcast today, the Blog to Watch Weekly, and they were interviewing the guy who owns Jack Mason, and he was talking about his journey as far as how they've gone and how it's almost like you have to hold on to the people that first engage with the brand, who find some connection to the brand. And I think that's what Vare's done. Like they created those, they had a field watch, but I think they really hit their stride with their dive watches, especially, especially if you're going to talk about surfing and being in the water. Like a field watch is nice, but we all know you're not going surfing in a field watch, right? So when they started to release their divers, I think that's when they really hit their sweet spot. And I think this timepiece, or all the variations of this timepiece, are for the people who like Vare, who like the Vare lifestyle. They make a quality timepiece, because they do, at the price point. And now we're going to pick this one up for when they want to go to their fancy surf party.
Yeah.
And you got to be a little, cleaned up. No, but you know what I mean? I think that's what it is. And listen to that podcast shed a lot of light on stuff for me, because the gentleman talked about how he lost certain customers because of like price increases and stuff, and how he reached out to them and talked to them and everything. But his main focus was, nowadays you have to find a reason to have people connect with what you're doing. And it's a balance between what you make. Like, he talked about how they were making good quality watches, but at the price point they were at and what they were sitting next to in the display case, people automatically thought that their quality was the same as those other timepieces, and it wasn't. It was better.
I actually agree with you about Jack Mason. I think that when they were first released, they were in that confusing, oh, is this a sport Daniel Wellington? Because they use the name sound. It's not Daniel Wellington, but it sounded like that style of like movement and stuff like that. And it sounded like it was that kind of style of fashion-y watch.
And we joke about that all the time on this podcast. We joke about it all the time in the live stream, don't we, Sam? Like we even joked about it with Christopher Ward. Like, if you don't know, and all these English names, you know what I mean? Like Pete Stevens. Anyways, and it was just interesting how he said that, you know what I mean? How he brought that up. And then he talked about how they increased their prices, or they try to make their timepieces look nicer than they were, or something. Like, they wanted to sell them to rich people, but then the only people that bought them were people who wanted to look like they were rich. Yeah. And it was this interesting conversation they had on, and it just strikes me as Vare has figured out who they want to sell to. That's what I think. I think Vare has figured out who they want to sell to. And even in their different designs going forward, they don't deviate too far from the simplicity and goodness of like their dive lines.
Yeah, you can tell that Jack Mason's definitely, I mean, some of these look, dare I say, a little bit like a Shinola, but I mean, I suppose that kind of additional thing.
A little bit of Lange aesthetic with some of those chronographs with the big dates on top.
Yeah, it some of these are, I mean, I'm sure these, I mean, I've seen, I mean, this 699 one, I've seen that. I think they do some spectacular sales as well, and I'm sure they're great quality, but some of these I feel probably trying a little bit too hard. But I mean, that looks like straight out of Citizen's book there. But
it sure does.
Anyway, well, let's jump to this one. Is absolutely fascinating, Patrick. Where do we start with this? Is this a credit card?
I knew he was going to do this. I had a feeling this was going to show up.
First of all, what is it?
What is it?
I wish I knew. I saw this thing pop up on my Instagram feed because I'm a giant watch nerd, and pretty much my Instagram is just a giant throw at me of all these weird watches. And I saw this, and I didn't even see this picture first. It was a picture of some guy putting it in his jacket pocket. And I mean, it's the size of almost like a mini iPad. And I was like, what the hell is this? And then it said down below something about pocket watches coming back. And of course, being a pocket watch fan, I was just kind of like, oh, no. And so I took a little closer look at it, and I'll defend them a little bit. I don't know anything about this Code 41 brand, but it's a really cool piece of tech. I mean, it's got power reserve and dates and kind of like regulator displays for all the different times and functions. And I was like, all right, I don't really get what it's for. I don't really get who in their right mind would actually use this, but it's kind of cool. But then there's a big negative. So before we get to the bottom, I mean, Jason, how much would you pay pay for this?
Give me a bigger picture, Sam.
Here we go.
I'm not going to look.
How much would I pay for that? What's it made out of, material-wise?
Oh.
I don't think anything fancy. I mean, it could have some titanium in it, but I mean, there's nothing, kind of.
I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it, because here's the thing. I'm always warm. I run warm all the time. So whenever I see like fashion pictures and people are layered up, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that. It's like in the wintertime, it could be like -5 outside and everyone's wearing down coats.
We're cheating. We see the price. We see the price.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I have a long sleeve shirt on and a thin sweater. So I don't have any room. I wear slacks to work. And the last thing I want is some big bulky thing in my slacks because they're thinner pants because it's 9,000 degrees in my office. So I would $350.
Yeah. I think I'm with you on that too. I'm about the same place, Jason. Just because for the novelty piece of it, I don't know what to do with it though. I mean, why do I want to carry 2 iPhone sized things around with me? And I don't know what I mean, it's amazing. It's like a deconstructed watch.
Yeah.
It's what it is. I love the tech like you're saying, Patrick, but I'm not spending a lot of money for it because it really serves very little purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well,
So
my computer just froze for a minute, so I don't know if you guys said anything, but did anyone say the price yet?
No, we've left it for you. We've left it for you to pitch this. It's a completely sapphire crystal.
Come on,
108 by 70.
Oh,
it comes with obviously a leather case. It's nicely machined.
We need to have the elevator pitch here, Patrick. You've got to sell me in the elevator.
Oh, I'm not selling you. I'm selling you not to buy it. It is $10,000.
Okay, so at $10,000, I get it surgically installed on my forearm.
Yes,
and I walk around and just make money at circuses.
Well, it's less money than a Hodinkee travel clock, right? So right away we're success right here.
Well, you could probably you could nearly get 2 of the Hodinkee travel clocks, but
oh, that's right, it is more than the Hodinkee travel clock.
Yeah, this is a toy for very rich watch collectors, isn't it? Because you pull this out at the Red Bar, and you bell of the ball, aren't you?
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, as I said, it's really cool. It's just
cool.
I was thinking it was going to be like $500, $700, maybe $1,000. When I got down to the bottom of the page and it said 10, that's when I wrote a comment on the Instagram post, and I said 10. I'm like, no.
Well,
that's 2.5 LHDs.
I'm going to jump to mine. I mean, I've talked about it enough. People are probably sick of me talking about it, but I had to put the Christopher Ward on there, the new the C60 Trident Pro 300. They sent me one of these in for review, a 42 millimeter version. Christopher Ward never send watches. You don't keep them. You just you have them for a short period in your life and then you send them back. This was probably the hardest one that I had to send back. I got a 42 millimeter. I filmed it and then parted with it. But I think this watch, I don't think these photos do it justice. This certainly doesn't, because Todd, when you first saw this, you said, "Oh, it looks like that Grand Seiko," and it definitely does from that picture.
Yeah,
but
it does. A little bit like the Tudor too.
Yeah,
shape, right?
Yeah. It's not far off, but when you see it in person, the flatness of the back and the way that it feels, I've got the previous version. Well, it's not technically the previous version of this. Mine's the 600, but it's the evolution of the 600. They've just got it all right. I loved it. The bezel was spot on. I know this is daily. I'm getting comments from people that would like to improve certain things. I don't know what it is about Christopher Ward. We joked about it on the Sunday Social that they seem to try and make everybody happy while simultaneously making a lot of people unhappy with the design choices. But I think this watch is nothing short of a triumph for them. But what's everybody else's view? Because I talked about it on Sunday, but I didn't necessarily do a round panel. There's this green version, there's a blue version, there's a 42 millimeter, a 38, and so on. I don't know. Who wants to kick us off? Jason, do you want to kick us off on this one?
Yeah, there's a gentleman I work with today who I saw his watch and I said, "Oh, excuse me, what do you have?" He's like, "Oh, it's a Christopher Ward," and it looked like it had a sandwich dial. I was trying to pick out which one on the website it was, but he's had it for a long time, so I think it was like one of the original iterations. And so, it's only the second CW I've seen in real life. One of the first ones I saw was like one of the very early. It was like the guy got in like super early. And it was nice and it was handsome.
$1,000.
I really. Oh, how much do I think it is? Is that the question? Because I didn't have the question.
No, it's a thousand. Yeah.
Oh, what do I think? Yeah. I mean, I trust you guys. Those Sam, you've handled so many timepieces that for you to like it so much, because I know you personally, I'd be willing to give it a shot. But I don't think the renders do it any justice.
No.
And I think, and I've learned enough by now to know that a lot of stuff gets washed out. Like the Tudor, the 39 millimeter Pelagos. People are going on and on about the dial being not matte. Yeah, but you haven't seen it in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, it might work. You know what I mean? And like, I like the shape of this. I like the richness of the colors. I usually like matte, but the bezel insert doesn't look matte in renders. So I know the case is supposed to be a light catcher case, right, Sam? And it's supposed to, you know what I mean? So the thing is, the jury's out. You like that, Todd? The jury's out here because I haven't seen one in real life, and I'd like to see one in real life.
Yeah.
And I take your word for it, Sam, because you've seen a lot of timepieces and you like this one.
Yeah, I really do like it. And they also have this. This isn't a pitch for Christopher Ward, although it probably is. They have a 60-day return policy as well, because they don't have showrooms yet that you can go and look at these. So I think they even appreciate that as well. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. Todd, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like it a ton. If I really would like to get a green watch at some point. I know we were talking about green watches, other than my Scuba Doo, $80 Scuba Doo. Yeah. And this could be a green watch for me if I was going to pull that trigger. For that amount of money, this could be my green watch.
Yeah. I'm kind of on the same page as everybody else. I mean, there's really not much not to like about this watch. I mean, is it, awe-inspiring and brand new? Not really. It's just a regular diver watch, but they took some time and effort to make a really nice case and put some good bezel on there. And, I put the little metal rehot sort of insert bezel on there, which I do think actually looks a little better than if it was just all green. So, they took some care and some time with it. And, it's a great watch. And for that money, dear God, you can't beat it.
No.
Yeah, and he did allude to other colors coming as well as an addition. And I know a lot of people were. I didn't realize this at the time. Otherwise, I would have asked Mike about this. But I think the 38 millimeter, they only did it in the white and the black, I think, on launch day. And I know people were wanting the blue and the green in that one as well. And I think that's they should do that as well. So, well, next up, this is, I think, another one of yours, Patrick. This is the Frederick Constant.
Not mine.
It's mine.
Well, the introducers.
Well, so this was introduced in, I think, Watches and Wonders in 2021. So it's a COVID watch release, I call it. But the amazing thing is, of course, this monolithic oscillator that they developed with Defy. It's the same similar process that Zenith Defy uses, except it's a very small one as opposed to the Zenith Defy, which is very large. And this was like a revolution in watchmaking in terms of what it does. It's 40 hertz. You get a smooth sweep, just like a spring drive. And that's your traditional one there, right? And they're kind of showing what they replace. I mean, the Engineer, that's a great picture, right? It's a terrific engineering feat. They put it in a dress watch, which doesn't really make sense. But even then, it was reasonably priced, about $4,300. These were limited editions. I imagine they've sold them out, although I went online, I saw some jeweler had one for sale. But then it just doesn't, I haven't heard anything about it. And so the question is, Frederick Constant is a company I really respect. I think it's owned by Citizen now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Citizen. But I mean, they're doing a lot of cool innovation, and this is something that's never been done before in this way. I mean, we had Gerard Perregaux with the Constant Force escapement, I believe, but I mean, nothing like this.
Yeah, and Ulysse Nadan had that grinder winding system, which this and that grinder winding system. I mean, the grinder winding system, the way they pitched it, it could revolutionize industries beyond watching. It was almost like a perpetual motion machine. Like any movement at all, front, back, side to side, would wind the watch. And you think, well, this could be used in like huge scales, and then on industrial scales for other machinery and things like that. But
yeah, I'm kind of curious what's going on. That's why I brought it down.
Yeah,
that's interesting, Mark. Yeah, it is like Romans numerals with the Iochet dial and the rose gold, blah blah blah. And you can have this silicon. Yeah, there's the Zenith. Yeah, they're showing the Zenith one, which is has a similar type of physics going on, I guess, in some ways.
I don't know, Jason. Have you read up about? Have you read? Is this one of the ones that you've researched?
No. At first glance, I'm like, oh, it's an attractive timepiece, but then everyone's going on that it has the SR-71 engine inside of a Sopwith camel body. So I'm just kind of like, okay,
Patrick, is this one? Have you looked into this?
I haven't looked into the specifics of this little this engine yet, but I'm very familiar if it's the Zenith version, because was that in the Zenith Defy Inventor? Was that the one we're referring to?
Yeah, so the same company that helped Zenith with the Defy it's a Dutch company. They helped develop this for Frederick Constant.
Okay, because the only thing that makes me a little worried about that is because I was actually really interested in that Defy Inventor. Supposedly they've almost pulled it from the market, and I don't know if that's because something went wrong with it.
Okay.
But if you look around in the world of Zenith Inventor, it's almost as if they've scrubbed it from the planet. So they don't sell it anymore. They don't service it anymore. You can't really buy one if you even want to. And I don't really understand why. So, obviously it's a very new way of making a heartbeat in the watch. And I think it's really, really cool. I just hope maybe Frederick Constant has worked out some of the glitches, because it sounds like Zenith had some problems.
Maybe so.
Yeah, look, so Orange Hand here says apparently no one has ever received the Zenith.
Okay.
Yeah, they pulled it.
Okay. Well, then next up, we're down to our final two, I believe. This is the MB&F Split Escapement Evo. This is incredible looking watch, isn't it? It's got the escapement sort of housed on the center. It's actually a more of a, I mean, it looks, anybody who's not familiar with MB&F, it looks like a quite an out there design, but this is quite refined for them, isn't it? It's quite, it doesn't look like a frog or like a, anything rude. It's like a normal round watch. But Patrick, I think this was one of your choices, was it?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just thought this was very interesting, and kind of even like the Frederick Constant, where you put that weird tech in an old-fashioned grandpa watch. MB&F has their shtick, which is this really cool floating bridges and all the fancy stuff. Well, they're now making an Evo line, which is their sport watch. And so this comes on a rubber bracelet or a rubber strap, and has water resistance, and they're claiming that you can be rough and tough with this watch, which just is a little bit surprising to me. I mean, I can't see anyone out of the basketball court rocking one of these, but they're saying you can. And that's kind of what caught me is, I think it's a beautiful watch. I think it's great that they made it, not so dressy, but I think going to the idea of calling it a sports watch is a little weird.
They better be careful, else Teddy's going to drop it out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. Did he
I
drop?
haven't watched the episode.
Yeah,
yet.
has he dropped? Teddy Balbazar dropped some watches out of helicopters. Did he?
Yeah, I think it was a G-Shock or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's dropping different G-Shocks or different heights of G-Shock or have something. I have to watch.
Oh, was it? It wasn't O'Leary's helicopter, was it?
Might have been.
Probably.
Oh, that'd be a good show.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely watched that. So, does it even have the? Oh, yeah. Here we
there
go.
it is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
$80,000.
Oh yes.
It's
And,
an MB&F. I mean,
Okay, so let
And
me
there's
let me
that-
ask the more accomplished watch engineering people in the room. Okay, so in my mind, there's two people buying this. Someone who has no idea how it works but has the money to spend it, and someone who really understands how it works, and buys it because of that. So how many are they possibly selling?
no.
I mean, I think you're right. I mean, the good news is I don't think they make very many. So, at the price tag that they throw out for that, they don't have to sell a lot. So even if they make 100 of these, they'll probably find 100 wrists for it because it's a pretty striking watch. I mean, if you want to wear a watch that someone's going to notice from across the room, you're going to get a lot more people looking at this than you are most other watches.
Yeah, and I know Roman Scharf. I was watching an episode of The Grey Market, and I think he said something along the lines of MB&F is like going in a time machine and getting watches from the future and bringing them back. Like this, he thinks that they're so advanced technically than other watches in the market. So, but speaking of last one, and we're going to end up on another crazy one here. This is a brand that I don't know a lot about, and I think it's pronounced Urwerk rather than your work.
Yeah,
Urwerk. So this is so this Hodinky article calls this their affordable one. But they've released this before. It's the U100V. The V in this particular case means violet. But I don't know a lot about the brand, but there's something that is like weirdly cool about this. The color scheme, I know. I've never really been drawn to work before, probably because of the price and stuff like that. But
so I've seen a bunch of these not a bunch of them because I don't know how many they made, but quite a few. And the one thing I've noticed about all the Urwerks are, once you figure out what it's doing, you can actually look down real quick and tell what time it is.
Right.
What date it is. Like they're all a little bit different, but I think like the way they're designed, it's not so fancy that you literally can't use it for what it's designed to be used for, which is to tell the time. And I've always found that, and they all look strangely comfortable.
Yes,
like
this one does look comfortable. Yeah,
like there's design put into the case design and the strap and how it wears. I don't know, and I've seen a bunch of them, and they do cool stuff. I would say this is my kind of fancy technical, where maybe the MB&F is not my kind of fancy technical. Yeah, but I wouldn't know yet until I see them both in real life.
And you can easily tell that it's 68 minutes past 7 there on the dial.
Yeah, it's my favorite time.
So it is. They are cool. I know Dave Sargent, who's a friend to the show that writes for Titello's Watches, is a big fan of this brand. I think he's reviewed quite a few. They are definitely on the expensive side. I think this one comes in at it's got the price at the bottom.
It was 60.
Yeah, was that right? Yeah, it's 55,000 Swiss francs.
Better than I thought.
Really? Yeah, they're usually a lot more than that.
Yeah. But in terms of this one, I agree with you. This one actually looks more comfortable and a little bit more streamlined than most of them, because some Urwerks look just really large and chunky, and usually I think they're pretty ugly. This one, it's not ugly, and it's would I spend 60 grand on it? Probably not, but I like the color, and maybe a gray rubber strap would look better than the white, but I think it's a pretty cool looking watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Well, that was our final one. Any last words from the panel? Or any that we missed? I think we went over them. We forgot to do hit and miss for each one, didn't we? After calling it a hit or miss show, but I think we mainly went with hits, didn't we? I don't think was there any misses there. You weren't a fan of the
Oh,
G shot.
That
Yeah.
Octofinismo was a miss.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. A miss for the Octopus.
Yes.
I think the Doxa was a hit.
Yeah,
Hit for
Doxa
me.
was a hit. Yeah.
I like that Doxa a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, big hit on the Doxa. Yeah, good call. Cool. Well, thanks to everyone in the comments. Very much appreciate you all watching. I know Tuesdays definitely there's a lot of competing live streams, so we appreciate you joining ours. Thanks to my panel.
Yes.
Thanks to Todd coming all this way just to do
Hey,
this.
Todd.
Woo, Toad.
Awesome. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time, or we'll see you on the Sunday social. Bye.
Bye, everybody.